Hi, this is Jan, and this is the Jan Files, episode 6, and today I'm going to talk about NOAA. NOAA is the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. So what does NOAA do? Well, NOAA is the agency that is responsible for weather forecasting. It's responsible for data collection. It monitors hurricanes, droughts, the ocean levels in terms of temperature, et cetera, and also manages fisheries and marine sanctuaries. So that's the kind of overall picture of what NOAA does. I think we're all very familiar with that. Our weather is far different than it was 20 years ago. The oceans are warming, and there's huge impacts to all over the world, but certainly to our coastal communities, including Texas, and to our communities that are within areas where the rain is impacting them by causing massive flooding. So that's all part of what NOAA takes a look at and helps address. Now, they cut funds that were allocated for from the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. There were billions of dollars, about $3 billion that were allocated to specific programs to help with some of this forecasting, to help with resilience of the coastal communities, all kinds of programs, and also upgrade of systems. So a lot of that was cut. So we're going to go into what those three areas are really quickly, what was cut, and what they cover. So first one is the climate resilience grants that for coastal states, tribe, and various communities. They allocated about $2.25 billion in the IRA, and that has been mostly spent, but there is $350 million left. And what does that actually do? It gives large grants to states, tribes, and local governments. It to elevate roads and infrastructure in flood zones, to restore wetlands to protect against storm surge, and upgrade community resilience planning. So all of those things, in terms of what happens down the line, there is no money for that. Okay, they cut that back. Other than what's in the typical budget, in the typical NOAA budget, they cut $350 million that was allocated for that. Now, the second program is the NOAA facilities and national marine sanctuaries. So they cut they gave $200 million, but only 120 million has been spent, so there's $80 million that has been rescinded. What is it rescinded from? What are the programs? Well, this money goes to repair and modernize aging NOAA research labs, piers and vessels supporting fishery science, and marine sanctuary visitor infrastructure. So, NOAA warned by this cut that this would defer maintenance or hurricane damage piers, delay upgrades to observation platforms. And so, none of this all by itself is going to have a huge impact. But together, these resources were really focused on making sure that we're doing whatever we can do to help our communities prepare for some of these disasters, avoid some of these disasters, and make sure that when those disasters are coming, that we are forewarned. The third area is climate and weather research forecasting. Now that had about $150 million in its budget. A lot hadn't been spent to date, so there still was $110 million in that. That has been rescinded. That is no longer there. And what was that supposed to cover? It was to cover expanded high-resolution climate modeling, improve hurricane and severe storm predictions, and accelerate forecast innovation partnerships with university. So universities obviously are responsible for a lot of our research in many, many, many areas. And so this is really profoundly important that this money is being taken away from the research we need to do to make sure that we're protecting our communities and making sure that there is a greater awareness within these communities of what is happening. A lot of the community planning is gone because of these cuts. And so this is a profound impact on our lives. And we're already seeing a loss of life due to poor planning. So, this isn't, for me, this particular issue is right and side by side with this whole idea that climate change is not happening, that this is just a regular cycle. Well, that's bullshit. And it's also not a Chinese hoax, which is another level of bullshit from Trump. So the reality, folks, is we're seeing it with our own eyes as to what is happening. And the Republicans are saying, hey, no big deal. Let's cut another almost $500 million, a little over actually, $500 million from these programs because they're not necessary and because we want to make sure we give that big tax break to those corporations. Thanks. Stay tuned for episode 7.